Welcome to the Meeple Syrup Show, designers discussing design. We're on episode 45, and it's Child's Play. That's right, we're going to be talking about kids' games, family games, how to design games, or what games are out there that are great for families. And I'm really excited about the show because normally we would only have 2 guests, but we actually have 3 guests today.
Plus one.
Plus a special guest. So yeah, I mean, this is just loaded with lots of good information. So stay tuned for that. But first
Unfortunately, though, because we have extra guests, we don't have room for another host. Well, that's actually a joke because Dylan is computer impaired. He's been packing for his big move, and so his computer's packed, and he's on his iPad, which we've had problems in the past getting viewers and guests and hosts on their iPads into Google Hangouts with the rest of us. So we're stuck one man down. Normally we would leave no man behind, but this man has a big bushy beard and he can fend for himself. So
yeah, he
hopefully
definitely
Dylan is watching and is participating via the YouTube chat.
Yes.
And I'm going to call my YouTube chat up right now.
Yeah, that's a good call. And so it's a very exciting time, and also this is a very important time slot because we are coming up to Gen Con, where we are very thankful and want to give a shout out to our sponsors and supporters who made it possible for Sen and I to go to Gen Con. We're very excited about this. We're going to try to get you some great coverage, but also we're going to try to do a live show. Which might work, hopefully. It didn't work so hot at Origins, and so that was a bit of a fail, but we'll try again at Gen Con and do something kind of like the Gathering of Friends, where we'll film in the hotel room and just invite lots of people up for a party and see what we can capture. So that'll be a real fun thing next week. But maybe this is a good time to invite our special guest.
Okay, sure. Let's get Donnie in here.
To talk about if you can't be at Gen Con and you're watching some of the coverage we're giving, there's another thing you can be involved with. And we have Donnie here from Low Player Count, a great podcast you need to be listening to. Donnie, you there?
I am here. Hello.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Gen Cant and some of the activity going on?
Sure. Gen Cant is sort of a social media activity. For those that cannot attend Gen Con, I believe it started last year. Last year is the first year I remember seeing it. A lot of it happens on Twitter. Some of it happens on Facebook. Pretty much anywhere that you interact with people socially online, your various social networks, you can find Gen Cant happening. And it's sort of this, it's just sort of people playing games in groups during Gen Con or their stores and things like that. And it's just a neat activity for those that can't make it to the best 4 days in gaming.
Yeah, that's right. And so you guys are actually taking the reins on this one in terms of a very low player count game tournament, right?
Correct. So low player count, the podcast, myself, Travis, and Sean are doing have partnered with the One Player podcast, and we are doing it's a hashtag Gen Cant Solo Con, all one hashtag. Gen Cant Solo. I know it's a tricky one. Gen Cant Solo Con sort of event. It is a solo challenge. It all happens right from the privacy of your own home or wherever you play solo games, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we kind of wanted to do something that was in our wheelhouse. And at the same time, it feels like it works well with Gen Cant as an overall event.
Oh, definitely. Now, the prizes for Gen Cant are literally phenomenal this year. You probably have a better chance of winning a really cool prize at Gen Cant than you do at Gen Con. Tell us about what the prizes are this year, and what prize do you guys get? Do you know? Or is it just some random thing?
Sure. Well, we have, so the Gen Cant SoloCon event itself is doing 4 days of challenges. We actually have a geek list up right now. If you even go to the main page of Board Game Geek and scroll down to the ranked geek lists, yesterday and the day before we were the #1 geek lists on the site. Today we've dropped to 4. Maybe we could get some more thumbs and get it back up there and keep it in view. But it's just sort of all the information about how we're doing things. There's going to be challenges. Each day we'll have a separate challenge. So, for example, Thursday, July 30th, is play solo card games. Things like Onirim, Sylvian, Friday, Lord of the Rings LCG, Imperial Settlers, Star Realm Solo, just any of these games that have a neat solo component, whether built-in or a variant, whatever it is that you enjoy. Sentinels of the Multiverse, one of the Pathfinder games. Friday, we're doing a cooperative challenge where you solo play a cooperative game of some kind, Mice and Mystics, any of the Pandemic series, Freedom, Flashpoint Fire Rescue. Saturday is Euro Day, where people are encouraged to play any of those kind of Euro style, the Uwe games like Gates of Loyang, Fields of Arle. You can also do other publishers have done games like this, Nations and Carcassonne a little bit, Viticulture with the Tuscany expansion. And then Sunday, the last day, is designated as sort of a versus challenge, where you can either, it started off as sort of, play both sides of things, like if you've ever played a coin game before, where there's actually like bots that control where you're playing against the bot, something like that. But then it extended into other things where you're playing against some kind of artificial intelligence, some kind of AI, like the Race for the Galaxy solo expansion that came in the first expansion, or Hostage Negotiator, which just came out from Van Ryder Games, which is a very carefully crafted segue into the prize support for Gen Can't SoloCon, one of which is Van Ryder Games. We also have support from GMT Games, Tasty Minstrel, Portal, and Z-Man.
Wow.
All kinds of prizes.
Incredible support.
Yeah, it's been really awesome, kind of seeing this come together. Travis, one of the other hosts of the podcast, has been just doing amazing stuff, getting in touch with people, with companies that are willing to donate to this event and get people playing solo games, which has been really great.
That's perfect. I mean, it's really funny. The Twitterverse is the only reason why I knew there were so many people that were into solo gaming. It's really quite amazing. There's a couple people on there, Board Game Duel, Gameritis guy, who continuously just bombard my feed with their solo gaming efforts, which is beautiful because I didn't know there were so many people out there. And last week, or maybe a couple days ago, Willie wrote this blog post about how Kickstarter campaigns shouldn't use solo gaming as a stretch goal. They should just have it in there.
Right.
If you're going to do it, do it. And I thought that was a great idea because really adding players to a game makes things difficult. Taking away players from the game makes things a little bit unbalanced sometimes from a game design perspective. And so solo gaming is something that should be well crafted. But if you want your game to get played a lot, maybe solo gaming is the way to go about it, and to neglect people who like to game solo and use it as kind of the stretch goal to get more people to buy your stuff. I think, but that was kind of his point. I think we'll have to get Willie on here sometime to talk about that. But I'm glad to see that there are more solo gaming efforts being made.
It's definitely something that kind of caught me a little bit off guard.
Interaction that's going on.
Right. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit, just seeing that there are people out there that purely play solo games, just because maybe they don't have a gaming partner, or they live somewhere where that's not really going to a local meetup isn't an option. Where I live, I'm very spoiled to have several fantastic local game stores and a meetup outside of the game store, and a group like DFW Nerd Night, where we have parties twice a month for gaming. So, living in Dallas where I live, it's spoiled me a lot. But I know that there are people out there that can't do that, and being able to provide that well-crafted solo experience is fantastic. And I remember reading that same article, and it was definitely don't force that solo content into your game. It was very much, if you're going to put it in, make it meaningful, as opposed to maybe the carrot on the stick. Hey, a little bit more money. I retweeted that article and commented a couple of times back and forth with some folks about it through Twitter. I thought it was a fantastic article as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for coming on, telling us all about Gen Can't SoloCon, which is happening all of next week in various stages
Thursday,
and things?
Thursday through Sunday, same days as Gen Con. And there's also mini challenges. If you just follow the hashtag on Twitter, if you follow @lowplayercount, you can get all the information that way. And randomly, there may be little things that pop out, and then once it kind of wraps up, we'll have aggregated all the participation, and prizes will go out, and it'll be an awesome experience for everybody, hopefully.
Yeah,
excellent.
I'm gonna also shout out. I got to meet Donnie at Gen Con last year, and was one of my highlights. Legitimately, I had a great time getting to know Donnie, and I'm looking forward to the next chance that we get to hang out. But I'm very excited that there's going to be a community type opportunity for everyone that can't come as well, so that you can connect with people, get to know people, and then hopefully you build some great relationships, and some future event or some future meetup, you can meet up and play games together. So
absolutely.
So thanks, Donnie, and have a great night. And
thanks for having me, guys.
Our pleasure.
We'll see you later.
Always welcome. All right. Well, Sen, we have an all-star lineup. Why don't you let everyone know who our guests are as you invite them magically onto the show.
Okay, so tonight we have coming in first behind door number 1, I guess.
Door number
we have
one.
Helaina Cappel, who is the CEO, the main man, the head person in charge at Kids Table Boardgames in Toronto, Ontario.
Hi.
And she runs an after-school program. She is a teacher by trade and a game publisher by night, I guess.
Yeah, by night, that's right.
All night long.
And summer.
Yes.
All summer and night, yes.
Yes, excellent. And then we have Lea Culliton, who is the president and person behind bringing Haba games, all those lovely yellow boxes of kid games, to us in North America. Lea is the driving force behind that. Hi, Lea. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. Thank you.
Great. And then we have, last but not least, we have one of our great friends in the industry, Tanya Thompson from Mastermind Toys, ex of Think Fun. And she is here joining us at last minute saying, hey, let's do this thing. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
That's good. I haven't seen you in a little while. Everything okay with you?
Everything is really good.
Wonderful.
Excellent. And we'll definitely be picking your brain about Mastermind Toys.
Yeah.
I'm very excited that you're there, and we'll get a chance to talk about what's going on there.
And maybe we can make you some connections on the show. Daryl, let's get this started.
Yeah, well, first off, just to give people a little bit of context, I thought we'll just start with some things that people are each associated with, and then we'll dive into the discussion more about, what makes a good kids game and what our family games trying to do well. But before we go there, I'm going to start with Helaina and talk. First off, I see your little image is a Kickstarter image, and I know you have a Kickstarter going on right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your Kickstarter, because it is a family game, a game that kids could play together or adults and kids could play together.
And it was designed by a family.
And it was designed by a family.
Yep. So right now we've got Food Fighters on Kickstarter. It is a 2-player family-style game. And we've been up for about 3 weeks already. We've got 1 week left. We've raised a lot of money so far. We're pretty close to funding, which is really exciting. It is a game that was designed by my husband and I, Josh Cappel, who has been on the show several times. And it's sort of a labor of love between the two of us and our kids as well, who have chimed in often about what they'd like to see happening in the game. And I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to see what happens with the Kickstarter. It's been a crazy month, and can't wait to see what goes on with it. So.
Excellent. And Lea, can you tell us what's going on with Haba USA right around now?
Well, today I was in a slight panic. I have my best-selling game is not going to make Gen Con. The container got pulled for intense inspection, and I was told
no.
Oh, is that the 10th anniversary?
Nope. It's that and Rhino Hero.
Oh no!
No! I'm not going anymore.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm still going to wear this with pride. I'm still going to have
special capes made for the show.
Oh.
yeah, my whole plan is foiled.
Oh,
so
no.
Oh, that's too bad, Lea.
I'm today, and but I will have Animal Upon Animal Crest Climbers.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, the new version of Animal Upon Animal, and I'll have our regular Animal Upon Animal and Monster Laundry and Gulo Gulo. I'll have plenty of other games, but everybody wants likes Rhino Hero, so I'm a bit disappointed.
Will you have the giant Japanese version for display or demo?
I'm happy. So should I show it? I mean,
sure, get people interested.
Yeah.
I can't sell it because there's too much risk for children because they would have to climb on chairs and ladders to play it. So.
Right.
Sure.
But you could sell it to maybe this guy right here.
Like everybody wants it.
I know.
Yeah, you could have a bidding war.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right,
Daryl.
well, and I'm gonna turn my question over here to Tanya. I'm curious. We already mentioned that we know you from your Think Fun days, but you've shifted gears and now you're with Mastermind Toys. Can you tell us a little bit about what your new role is? And I would be shocked if people don't know Mastermind, but tell us a little bit about Mastermind Toys.
Sure. So, well, let me start with Mastermind. So, Mastermind Toys is a 31-year-old company, a retailer across Canada. We have currently 41 stores, growing to 45, 46 by the end of the year. And then within 3 years, it'll be 75 stores. So we're talking about the same kind of scope as some other big retailers, but this is a specialty toy retail chain, and there's nothing quite like it. It was started by John Levy and Andy Levy, who are brothers in the Toronto area, and they've really kind of grown the company with, especially in this recent rapid expansion, with keeping in mind what Mastermind is all about, which is about great customer service, great product curation, so that we're really proud of all the different toys and games that we sell, and really kind of doing the best that we can for the customer. And even though it's even though when it was really small, those kinds of things are really important. With the growth, it still is. So I'm proud to have joined the team there. And my role basically is, well, my title is Head of Global Product Sourcing and Development. And basically that means John hired me directly, and I'm working with him and the product team to continue to bring great products into the store chain, as well as working with their overseas vendors closely and bringing in product there, as well as getting product knowledge out to the stores. So when we bring in a new product, with it will come some information that will get into the hands of the sales associates so that they can sell the product really well and really kind of reach the needs of the customer.
Wow. So you got a lot of roles and responsibilities.
A lot of roles, yes.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of somebody else who has a lot of roles, we have Helaina here, who is not only a game publisher and co-designer, she is also a mom of 2 wonderful kids who I love to death, and then also a wife. But she is, number one in my heart, a teacher. Being a teacher myself, I rally behind other teachers, and I have a question for you, Helaina. From our audience, from the Bearded Meeple, he asks, when you're thinking about kids' games, is it flat out fun? Is it education? What makes a game really a game that you want to put on the table for your kids, for your after-school program, and then later on even to publish? What are you thinking?
Well, if a game isn't fun, it's never going to be played again. That's just the reality of it. And so with educational games, I see so many that teachers have in their classrooms, and they try to bring them out, and the kids, they go back to the Sorry and they go back to the Monopoly, because for them, whatever they're trying to do to help them add or multiply or whatever it is just isn't cutting it for them. It's not fun. So what needs to happen is we need to start looking at games from the opposite end. Let's make them fun, let's put them together, and let's find the education in them. And so when I look at bringing a game into my classroom, number one is fun. Number two is what other things are they going to get from it besides the fun? And if the education is there, that's great. There's so much more to it than just what math is in the game. It's also kids communicating with each other. It's analysis. It's higher order thinking stuff that doesn't happen, when you give them a math sheet or you give them an essay to write. There's so much more going on when kids are playing games that teachers, I think, are not really thinking about. So for me, 100%, it's the fun first, and then it goes to what is the education in the game.
Absolutely. Well, another person that wears many hats and is running an organization that has some amazing games that should really be in every classroom is Lea here with Haba Games. And sadly, I don't think there's enough classrooms that have enough Haba games in their classrooms, but also I know they're very popular amongst families playing together, adults and kids, and half the time adults are having just as much or more fun as well with these games. Can you tell us a little bit about, kind of similar to the last question, what are some of the things that families are learning together or kids are getting from playing Haba games?
I think one of the most important things, like Helaina said, is not only having fun, but they're learning how to control their emotions. They're learning basic social skills of how to take turns, how to be patient, how to not tell that person what to do with their turn, how to not interrupt, how to enjoy in the success of the team, if there's a cooperative game, or enjoy in the revel of I won versus you won or I lost. I think that it's so important for kids nowadays not to know they always have to win, that they have to learn how to lose and lose politely. So I think that a lot of these games, like you guys have fun with Rhino Hero, a lot of our games are where the parent can have fun right alongside the child and not be bored out of their minds. So Haba thinks of the family when they play the game, not just the child.
That's excellent. Tanya, as a former inventor relations person and now working in retail, what do you think about play testing for children's games? So I'm going to go move up here. Did you bring them in-house? Did you have, send them out to families, visit schools? Did you test with adults but not kids, or kids but not adults? How does that happen? Oh, you have to unmute yourself. You gotta unmute yourself. Yeah.
It won't let me.
Totally letting you.
Yeah, so focus groups or testing can come in a lot of different forms. It's often when you're doing, like when I was with Think Fun and I was doing inventor relations, there was a lot of games that went through. Sometimes it was at the beginning, like testing with those that are close to you, like that have a confidentiality. So maybe your kids and your family, just to kind of get an initial read. But then once the game was signed and went into development, and now the confidentiality is on the company, we would have testers that we would work closely with, where we would send them prototypes or copies of the game. As well, if there's some great industry trade shows that were also either consumer-facing or had other people in the trade that wanted to play games, or even retailers that were interested in games that were looking at not necessarily sitting down for a couple of hours and playing, but giving feedback on other important things like packaging, rules, direction, design, that sort of thing. So game testing really came in a lot of forms, but it was an extremely important part of the process.
Great.
That's great information. I just want to point out, actually, there's some wonderful conversation going on live right now on the YouTube video. Some great questions. We're going to try to include some of them during during the show. Some of them we might talk about during the after show. But also, the beauty is there's some great people on the chat that are answering questions and interacting. So we really encourage our viewers, get involved in the conversation. Send tweets if you want. We really want this to be a catalyst of the conversation. And so on that note, I actually want to ask Helaina one of our viewer questions from Chris Schreiber. And he's asking the question, why is it so hard to get a children's game funded on Kickstarter? You're facing a Kickstarter. What do you think are some of the unique challenges of trying to kickstart a kids game?
I think that many gamers do not have children. Gamers do not have children. And the ones that do not have children and are looking around on Kickstarter aren't necessarily looking for a typical children's game. I also think that it's very easy to get kids games these days, Toys R Us online, and I think the education of parents as to like what is actually a really good game has to happen. I don't think that there's enough of it right now in terms of educating parents about what is something good for my child to be playing that's going to teach them something that they're going to enjoy. And so I think it's a very big challenge to try to get like a fully kids game out there on Kickstarter. And I hope that it works for us. Luckily we've got the kids and adults playing together aspect of the game, and it's still a fun game for adults to play with other adults as well. And that might be something that's missing from some of the other kids games that are on Kickstarter. So,
absolutely. I know actually, Tanya, you have something probably to add to this as well from your experience seeing the industry.
Yeah, so I mean, not only children's games on Kickstarter, but Kickstarter in general, it's been something that I've been very interested in. When I was with Think Fun, we picked up Robot Turtles from a Kickstarter campaign, saw it on Kickstarter, saw that it was gaining attention, and then reached out to to Dan Shapiro, who is the inventor, to kind of say, hey, what's where are you with this? And then we talked after the campaign and brought that on, and I know for him there were other companies too that were interested. And then I just in the last couple of days released an interview with Elan Lee, who is one of the 3 inventors of Exploding Kittens. And so he was talking about, I mentioned in my interview questions about Kickstarter and why it was such an incredible success, and kind of some of the stats on it were in the interview as well. You can find that on the ShyTag website for shytag.com. But anyway, with what I'm coming to understand about Kickstarter, or what I've been like kind of reaffirming, is that it's not just about, hey, let's put up a great video because we have a great product and see if we can get people to back us. The kinds of campaigns that have done, who went viral or went extremely well, there's often something else behind it. Like I know with Dan Shapiro, they do things that are very strategic when they're putting up a Kickstarter campaign, such that they know they're going to get funded within the first day, and then they're going to, hopefully, well, they don't ever. I guess I should say they don't necessarily know, but they set themselves up for success, and then kind of they sometimes go well past, and sometimes. It's about kind of making connections, getting the word out there. It's all about kind of getting the word out to the population as a whole that this campaign is up, and so they'll pull on connections like, TechCrunch and other bloggers that they might have connections with. And certainly, of course, one of the reasons that Exploding Kittens did so well was, of course, because of Matthew and the oatmeal, and he had such a phenomenal following with the oatmeal. That's one of the major reasons why that game did what it did, like millions of dollars. So
absolutely, kind of an exception.
I just want people to be aware, especially game inventors, like just don't think that if you get a cute video together and you put it up and you tell your friends and family, it's going to go viral and you're going to be a great success. It certainly seems to me that those that have had huge success, there's a lot more strategy behind the scenes than one might guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
there's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Lea, speaking of getting your name out there, Haba isn't the hugest name yet, but it could be. And so one of our viewers, Scott Veenvliet, who is a professor with me at Fanshawe College, and then also his wife homeschools, he was saying that Haba should do game fairs with schools, like they have book fairs during parent-teachers nights and stuff like that as a strategy. And in the homeschooling circles, they actually do these things called high days when all the homeschoolers get together, and they have fairs and things like that. So there's some avenues for Haba. And then Sir Bob says, his question is that will Haba actively seek out games that cross over the children to adult line, because things like Rhino Hero have gained a lot of traction within the adult gaming world, and Animal Upon Animal and things like that. So is that a thing? Is that something that we'll see as adult versions?
Funny that you asked, because I just learned today that Haba has 3 new games that they're launching at Essen, and they are all going to be, they're calling them adult games, but they're 8 or 10 plus.
Nice.
Strategy, one is called Spookies, one is called Karuba, and the last one is called Adventureland. No yellow boxes.
Yellow's my favorite color, though.
Yeah, not at all. They do not want to. In fact, they asked me if I could take out a separate booth at Gen Con next year, so the adult games from Haba don't get...
Interesting. The branding.
So they're branding. They're dual branding it. That's neat. Because, have you guys ever played Geiste Schatzmeister? Tanya, you've played that, right?
I am dying to play it, and I actually haven't.
Because that's a game that both of my kids, who are 4 years apart, they're like 7 and 11, will play together happily, and that's really what I'm looking for, is a lot of those types of things where it can bridge that age gap really nicely between my youngest, my oldest, and even my wife and I to play as a family together. I do love all the other games that we play. We play a lot of Dancing Eggs, and we play a lot of Jungle Shots and stuff like that from Haba. But I know my wife and and Ethan, my oldest, would probably like a little more challenge in his game. So I'm looking forward to that. That sounds great. If it has the same Haba quality in terms of componentry and rules, I'm sold. I'm in. So Daryl will be at Essen. Daryl, you're going to pick me up copies of that stuff?
I will not have luggage space, as you know.
That's right.
So.
I'm going over in October, so maybe I can...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good stuff.
So, talking about acquiring games, though, I want to talk to Tanya about this. In your new role, one of your things is, educating and acquiring, product for your stores. You just, I think it was today or the other day, you asked, a few people like what games people have played and what's their experience. I'm curious, what is kind of the process for games to get into Mastermind stores? What do people need to know?
Right. Well, so first of all, Mastermind is not a manufacturer. So when we get games into our stores, it's not like Think Fund where we would be the manufacturer and then sell it out. We at Mastermind are looking for games that are already published, or the inventor has the ability to supply great quantities if needed. So we definitely work with, there's a couple deals that that we're working on now that are with inventors who have an idea, but they're already putting it in stores. So it's just a matter of us taking inventory from them and putting them in the stores. Other games that, like I was asking about Chicken Cha-Cha, for instance, we're just I'm looking for great games to put into the mix at Mastermind. So it's a little bit different because it's a retailer versus a manufacturer. And when we're looking to acquire games, it's more from kind of the resources that are already manufacturing those games. And then the biggest thing, if I was an inventor, and you should do this regardless if it's Mastermind or Think Fun or a retailer or manufacturer, whoever it is, just really know the company, really know the company that you're putting, you're trying to get your game into. So if you walk into a Mastermind store and look at the game section, well, actually, I encourage you to do that in a couple months, because I'm really part of a team that's really putting our the lens on it. We're going to start celebrating Spiel des Jahres, and that's really cool for Mastermind to try to educate the regular consumer what exactly that award is. So I'm trying to bring in some credibility into the section, when you walk in, kind of know what are the types of games and who is the audience. So we're not going to bring in Power Grid or Trajan or a complicated game, because that's not our audience. Our audience is for kids 0 to 12 years old. So that is what we're looking for. And right now, if you look in our section, you'll see also a lot of Hasbro games and things like that, because those are games that sell to families because they're being recognized, and they're good games too. So Chicken Cha-Cha is a bit of an experiment, and I'm hoping it's going to be accepted by our market.
Hey, just a quick question for you, Tanya. How much, speaking of Spiel des Jahres, how much do you think big awards and stickers on boxes mean marketing-wise in the retail end of things?
So it's a great question. It depends on if the person who's looking at the award actually knows what that award is. So Spiel des Jahres is not going to mean anything to someone unless they know what it is. But typically, as a whole, it matters to consumers. If you're trying to decide between two games and one has an award and one doesn't, then you're kind of going to wonder why that game has an award, and then maybe choose that one over another. But we in the industry know that some awards you pay for, so and they're given out hand over fist, whereas others like the Spiel des Jahres or the Mensa Award, they're only actually given to a very select number of games, and in case of the Spiel des Jahres, there's only one. So, and then there's the Kinderspiel and the Kinderspiel, but they only award one title per year, and there's a lot of credibility that comes with that. But I think right now, if you were to ask a typical average mom of a 10-year-old, they would have no clue what that red ribbon award means. So it really depends on the audience, but it does, all said and done, it does make a difference.
I can just add to that a little bit. As a parent who buys games for her kids, and when I started doing some research about kids' games, I actually was in Mastermind, and I bought a couple of games off of the shelf there that had some beautiful gold awards on them. And, being that I'm a bit of a gamer, I know a little bit about gaming, having played a couple of them, I was really disappointed, and then did a little bit more research and did find out that you can pay for awards. And so being educated now about it, I'm a little more cautious when I see those awards, and I know which ones are important for me to see on the box. And you're so right, the education of the consumer is really important. I think that's really an amazing thing that you're doing, that you're putting that education on the store itself. Great idea. I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I got another question from the audience. I think this is a really wonderful question. And I'm trying to remember who.
It was Bearded Meeple.
Oh, it's Bearded Meeple. Thank you. And it's, the industry's changing over the years. Games are getting much better nowadays, but we also have this video game generation. And so, sure, parents can influence things, but, from a business standpoint, how do you compete against, video games versus cardboard games? And I mean, before I throw this question to Lea, I mean, I guess naturally, the first things that come to our minds are things like, face-to-face time and things like actual tactile skills and this, these moments. And I can think even back to Origins, where Sen, I, and Lea played, some Haba games together, and those were highlight moments. But could you share a little bit of why you're seeing people gravitate or choose Haba games over video games as, a choice for their kids and for their family? Why is that worth people's time?
It's funny because the first thing that came to my mind is we're not competing. I mean, I think that we're not. I mean, people who want to play board games are looking at board games.
Yes.
So if we can get their attention, with our yellow box or with a call out or with the art or whatever, I mean, that's our only chance. I mean, Haba is not a large, in the USA yet, presence in games. So I don't have the marketing budget to hit them with TV ads or with any, sort of ads out there all the time. So that we have to get the buyer's attention. We have to get the staff's attention at the store so they can point it out if the gamer does have children and walks into the store. But I really don't think that the parent that's actually walking into the store, that we're competing with that. They're already there for a reason.
I have a comment about that too. So I mean, I completely understand and agree with what Lea, what you said about people that love board games are going to play board games, and people that love video games are going to play video games. There's also a sense of we all fight for time in a child's day or a child's life. Maybe "fight's" the wrong word, but ultimately.
Oh no, I fight with my kids.
Ultimately, in the end, we're trying to get attention, get sales, put stuff in the hands of kids that are amazing. And if I have a child who is a video gamer and I can convince them somehow that a board game is an awesome playtime as well, then that's a win. So, but I agree with you that I don't really see us as competing. Like, the video game definitely came in and disrupted our industry, because before that there wasn't such a thing. But I feel truly that right now there's a resurgence of board games, and I've been saying this for a while as I see the hobby grow, and I've been on the business side for 9 years now, and always been a gamer of sorts, and so I do see a comeback almost, and I don't know if it's because there's great shows like Big Bang Theory, or amazing geek people like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and these people that are making geek cool again, or maybe not again, but like finally making it cool. And so
it was always cool.
For us who are geeks, yes. And but it's kind of like no longer is the gamers relegated to the basement playing D&D, but they're actually like out, and people are proud to be board gamers. And so there's this resurgence, and also I think from a parent's perspective, I have 3 teenagers. Parents are now looking at ways to spend time as a family away from screens, because everybody's always on some sort of a device, whether it's a computer, their phone, or whatever it is. And I can tell you, as a mother of 3 teens, board gaming is one of the most. I'm so glad I started my kids when they were young, and they're all now gamers. But it is one of those things that, regardless of how awful the week's gone, because you're fighting about homework and chores and all of that, you sit down around the table in an evening, and suddenly all that like kind of negative energy melts away, and you're all laughing again and connecting. And it's so important, that face-to-face time. And I think that I definitely see it, and there's definitely parents out there that are seeing it also, and looking for activities or playtime things to do with their kids that doesn't require a screen. So I hope it's only going to continue to grow and move upwards on the scale.
Helaina, you had something to add?
Yeah, Tanya, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head when you said you've got to get the kids when they're young. I have 2 young children, and we play games with them all of the time, and all of their friends love coming here to play games. They know when they come here, the second they walk in the door, we've got this big, huge pile of games. They can pick whatever they want. It's so true. But I can also speak to that as a teacher. And in my classroom, there are board games everywhere. And I run a board game club at lunch, and it was supposed to only be for the winter time, but my students convinced me. I have 90 students every year. I'm a middle school teacher. My students convinced me that I had to go till the last day, and literally we went to the last day. And they're
That's
all
awesome.
gamers. Like, they're board gamers, but they're also video gamers, and they just absolutely love being there. And with my class, I also do some game design, and so I hear them talking about the different aspects of the game and the mechanics of the game and what they're going to take from this game and that game and bring it into their own game.
Can you just record them someday? Just, get them to sign consents and record it, and then I'll just sit there and just like soak it all in. One day we should have a class. One day we should have a session on gamification of the classroom, just because that's what I'm into.
Yeah,
we should totally do that.
Tanya, did you ever teach?
Yeah, I was a teacher for 12 years.
That's what I thought.
In the industry.
Yeah. Tanya, you taught math, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Right. And Tanya, none of you probably know this, but Tanya went to the same school I did. She went to McMaster.
So did I.
And so did Helaina. So this is like the Big Mac reunion, right? This is awesome. A bunch of teachers from McMaster that doesn't even have a teacher's college. How did that ever happen?
Amazing.
I know. So, Helaina, just a quick question to you. Let's see here. We have a question from Chris, who asks, will Food Fighter be published in Germany, and has anyone from Germany inquired?
I would love it to be published everywhere. That would be amazing. We actually had... after the gathering of friends, Josh sent it with a company who decided that they weren't going to do it because I was sort of pressuring them that I wanted to start the Kickstarter. And then I have had contact from Poland. There's a company in Poland who's interested in signing the game. Right now, I'm concentrating on North America, dealing with that, finishing up this Kickstarter, and I'm so excited to see where the game goes from there. But I would love it. I would love it to be published in other countries and other languages.
Cool.
Wonderful. Talking about another game that I'm in love with that's coming out. Lea, I have to ask about Gulu Gulu, and I'm very excited about it, and also curious about some of the changes that we're going to see. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because it's thematically, there's a new twist. So can you tell us a little bit about Gulu Gulu? Because that's one of my games I'm looking forward to at Gen Con.
The only thing that's very similar, and keep in mind I've never seen myself the real Gulo Gulo, but ours is a pharaoh version. So they're in a tomb, and they're trying to collect the correct color, and they have to have 2 scarabs when they enter the final mummy's tomb in order to free the mummy. And there's a little mummy moving around the board, so it can shoot them back to the beginning if they run into the mummy and don't have scarabs to feed him honor him as a reward or a gift to stay in his presence. So it uses the same bowl with wooden balls and a staff that should not fall out of the bowl if you choose to grab that color.
Yeah, just otherwise.
It's a very large board, and you get to the first half of the board. If you make it into the actual pyramid, then when you get shot back, you only get shot back to the entrance of the pyramid.
So cool.
It should be right.
Yeah, so a little different. So anyone who already has it, they can still pick up that one.
Yep.
But if you don't have it, then you're going to for sure have to pick that up at Gen Con.
Very cool. Let's move on. Oh, you know what? We're running out of time, but we can go a little bit late.
We can go a little late, but we probably, because there's 3, we may actually need to go into last questions now.
Yes, that's true. Okay.
Wow.
I know, right?
You guys,
You guys have been awesome, so thank you very much. But let's ask these questions. So, last questions are always asked from a designer's perspective because, Daryl and I are game designers, and the show is usually watched by mostly game designers. So, we're going to ask you questions framed in what we're talking about today, kids' games, but from a designer's perspective. So, Tanya, I'm going to ask you the first question.
All right.
Does the world need more crappy licensed kids games, and how do we get away from those?
Okay.
Not a loaded question at all.
Not a loaded question at all.
Okay, so here's the thing. Does the world need more crappy games? No. So what is a crappy game? Well, in your mind, because you're a gamer, anything licensed is typically crappy. And I've been looking at different licenses, and I know what you're saying, but at the same time, when you're trying to sell a game to a non-gaming family, the last thing they want to do is sit down and read, however many pages of rules to understand the game. But if there's a gameplay that they're already familiar with, and you put a license on it, and their child loves the license, and it's not a difficult game where they're going to have to teach it or not understand it or whatever. I'm talking about the average family. And I have to say that I can't, knock it like how you introduced it, because there is some, like, for instance, Shopkins is a really big thing, a big hit right now, and if the average person who is in love with Shopkins is not necessarily, maybe unfortunately, a Pharaoh Gulo Gulo kind of, aficionado, and so they look for memory, dominoes, whatever the typical game will be. So it's kind of a hard question. I don't think there should be crappy games, but at the same time, I'm not sure if all licenses are crappy, because a licensed game, someone who buys a licensed game isn't necessarily the person who's also buying something with a richer gameplay.
Sure. And I think that's kind of what I was looking for in the answer when I loaded it that way, was that licenses are a hook, and perhaps as designers we can use those licenses or get access to those licenses somehow to make better games that are still accessible, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, licenses don't always work. Like for Think Fun, they tried a license many years ago, a Marvel license, and it just didn't work. Like the customer that buys a Think Fun game cares not about a license. And so it didn't help the sales whatsoever to apply a license to it. So it's not always going to increase sales. It really depends on I guess the platform.
Right. Daryl.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew you were not saying anything negative about licenses because you're designing multiple games with licenses. Yes. So clearly that was a bit of a setup. So I appreciate that Tanya stuck to her guns and defended licenses. I gotta ask this question to Helaina, but first also I want to give a shout out to Alex Blakeney. I met Alex at Origins, and he runs, or is one of the people that helps coordinate the Brooklyn Game Lab. And I just want to give him a shout out because it was really fascinating hearing about the Brooklyn Game Lab, because they actually encourage an after-school program where kids come together and they design games together.
Yeah, and, that sounded so cool.
It was amazing hearing about the ideas they were doing, and one of the fun things he was telling me at Origins was that they were each having the kids play different games, learn them, but also design stuff, and they were getting a chance to even pitch their creations to Asmodee for Colt Express and see if they could make an expansion or some new cards. Nice. And so I thought that was a wonderful little challenge, and I'm curious, how have you found, Helaina, challenging and even just supporting kids inventing games? Have you found some ways to be able to encourage that And what do you see? Any tips for people, for our younger designers that maybe aren't watching the show because it's too late, but maybe their parents can pass on the info?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that happens is kids have a bazillion ideas, and they want to do all of them. And their first prototype is terrible. But being that I know a little bit about games, and being that I'm, I think, a pretty good teacher, you work with them and you question them and you sort of send them in different directions and ask them a lot of questions, and eventually they end up with something that's really great. To a point where I have actually considered myself going to the other side with my students and seeing if I could maybe one day do some publishing of their games, because some of them do have incredible, deep ideas that are just, they blow me away sometimes, but it's getting to them that is the most difficult part of it, because they have so many amazing ideas, they don't know how to focus. So, you know, that's what the person who's working with them, that's what parents should be doing, is guiding them in the right direction, asking them the right questions to pull out the important parts of their game that will work.
Well, maybe we need to make a mentorship program, like a junior GAC, Junior Game Artisans of Canada.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I'm not even unserious at all.
That would be amazing.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Well, maybe we can run a private project through Kids Table.
Kids Table.
At some point in time, yeah. Lea, on to you. So other than getting your shipment in from wherever it's coming from, how can we help you? No, so we're going to ask you the last question of the day as well. What in your mind is something that everybody should look into when writing rules for kids' games? Haba rules are probably my favorite rules in the world, even the English versions of them. I love how Haba rules are written. I also love how Aliyah Ravensburger write their rules as well. So tell us a little bit about what makes a good rule set.
Well, you said that because I get to, they now give me the opportunity to proof the games before, the game instructions before they get published.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and when I didn't have that opportunity, it was pretty frustrating when I got the game and I was like, oh, you used this word in the translation instead of another word. Very often their translations, I have to look up the words that they've used in English. I don't even know them. So we have to be real conscious of that. And I think the pictures, I mean, obviously the pictures that we do help, and the little short things on the side. We always have a margin with little tips on the side. So if you don't...
That's my favorite part, is the sidebar.
Yeah.
I love the sidebar.
Yeah. Roll the dice, do this, whatever. So it makes it pretty simple.
Yeah, you can basically teach the entire game just from what's in the sidebar if you've already played it once, right?
Right.
And I think that's kind of the critical key. Daryl, we're over time, man.
Yeah, I cannot believe it went so fast. I just want to thank all of our guests. Such expert just wisdom and experience, and we just appreciate you sharing stories and giving examples, some real practical answers for our viewers, because I know a lot of questions that you answered are stuff that a variety of people are wondering about or thinking about or trying to work out. So we really appreciate you taking the time at such a late hour to hang out with us and answer some of these things. I want to give a plug. You can find a longer video of Sen and I chatting with Lea from Origins. Check that out and see how I believe Lea kicked her butt in playing the game, but I still forgive her for that. And we'll also just want to give a plug for next week that we'll be at Gen Con, hopefully doing a live show if everything goes right. And anyone who's a designer or a publisher, if you're willing to be on the show Wednesday night at 11 p.m., talk to us and pop in sometime between 11 and 12. We'll do a little live show of just like what's going on at Gen Con and what people can be excited about. So a little plug there. But meanwhile, we just want to encourage people, keep making great games, and we look forward to playing your games soon. Have a great night, everyone. Where's my music?
really are chair dancing. Amazing.